You're tuned into the Writing Community Chat Show, the live streaming YouTube podcast that brings you the stories of authors, screenwriters, and more. Indie or established, this show's for the community, and we invite you to be a part of it. Head to the writingcommunitychatshow.com for more info. The WCCS. Together as one, we get it done.
Hello and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hi everybody and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show on a very special episode on a Tuesday and the first of 4 episodes this week, which is kind of a rare thing for us. However, we've got some brilliant guests lined up this week, starting with tonight's guest and going through all the way to Friday. We've got another one on Thursday and double on Friday with a very special guest to be announced, and finishing off with Adele Parks on her 25th book in 25 years. It's going to be an incredible show to get her back on as well and to have a good catch up. So I hope you're doing well, and start of the week, bank holiday for most this weekend in the UK, which means back to work today, but we've survived that and we've got a good show now. So I'm going to get straight into that. You might have noticed that I'm here all by myself. Mr. Hooley has had a little bit of an accident whilst playing football. This is the reason that most of us tend to give that up when we get a little bit older. So best wishes to Mr. Hooley. Please get fixed soon. And we'll be missing him, but he'll be back for the rest of the shows, I'm sure. Maybe just in a bit of agony. But there you go. He'll be all right. So if you've got any questions through tonight's show, please do pop them in the chat throughout, and we can ask them at the end more specifically. If you could do us the favor of hitting the like button, leaving some comments on the YouTube channel, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All of that good stuff really helps like-minded people find the show, and that's all good for us and for the community that we're building around the show. So if you're new to that, welcome, and thank you for tuning in. So I'm going to bring tonight's guest on so we can get stuck into that interview. So here is the introduction. So, once I find that is. Okay. Tonight, we're joined by someone who embodies courage, compassion, and transformation. Renee Zukin is an author, educator, coach, and mental health advocate with over 20 years experience helping people do the inner work that sparks outer change. She's been featured alongside some of the biggest names in personal growth, and her upcoming book, Every Day I'm Brave, Cultivating Resilience and to Gain Freedom from Fear, dives into what it really means to face fear in consistency. Please welcome the inspiring Renee Zukin. Hello, Renee.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Oh, great. I'm so thrilled to be here. And of course, sending lots of good vibes to your buddy who is not feeling so great right now after that game.
Yeah, he is a little younger than me, and I do tell him there's a reason why I stopped playing football and other, kind of silly things. When you get older, your body doesn't really want to do those things.
No, it's true.
So writing is kind of the best thing that we can do, right?
You're right. Writing heals in all sorts of ways. Yeah,
it really does. Yeah. So where are you coming from to join us on the show tonight?
I am coming in from Iowa. I live in Iowa City, Iowa, home of the University of Iowa, which is smack dab in the middle of the United States.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. How has it been there? Weather all good? We've had pretty good summer here in the UK, which is quite rare to see.
Yeah, no, this week has been really lovely, actually. But normally it's very, very hot and humid. And we have something here called corn sweat.
Okay.
There's a lot of corn farms. So it makes the humidity kind of stick in the air. But it's gone today. So I'm grateful for the gorgeous weather we have today.
It is kind of rare for us. So like when it comes to writing, there's lots of like get-togethers and barbecues and going outside. Does that impact your writing as it does mine? Because it certainly does.
It definitely impacts the social life. But sometimes I actually really love to write on my porch, and when it's that sticky and gross, then I find other things to do. Yeah.
Well, writers have to have other hobbies, right? So what's your go-to if you're not writing or working on your everyday?
Yes. If I am not writing or working or mentoring, I'm actually singing.
Ooh,
I play in a local cover band, just have a lot of fun with my friends and relive, some good 80s and 90s tunes. And
amazing.
yeah, it's a lot of
So
fun.
what kind of songs? Everything or a specific genre?
Um, Mostly pop, rock,
Okay.
do a little indie here and there. But a long time ago, I wrote some original music, but
Yeah.
it's been about a decade since we played any of that.
So favorite song, is there one there?
Oh, favorites. Hmm,
It's a tough question when you're a singer, if you love music.
it is, right? All of them. Well, I would say uh probably okay, I have a new favorite because my co-lead singer likes to try new things every now and again, and he actually um decided that I should sing Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan. I
Oh,
don't know if you're
yes.
familiar. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. But I did it and it was a ton of fun. And I think it's my new favorite now.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people who are writers may have, not a lot, but some people definitely have dabbled in writing music or other forms of writing growing up, and I think that's a sign that that creativeness is in there. So, has writing always been something on your mind, because you've had a lot of different sort of avenues you've worked in? So, what led you to become a writer?
I love this question. Yeah, writing has definitely been the through line for me. When I was a teenager, I started keeping a journal. At the time, it was, mostly just kind of like the play by play of what it was like to be 12 and 13,
Yeah,
uh, which, is interesting to kind of look back on. But as I got older too, I was able to reflect a lot more, and writing became really the only way I could hear myself think. And I don't
mm,
know if that sounds weird, but to like know what I was actually thinking and feeling, it wasn't always clear to me until I could see it on the page.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's kind of how it started. And then in college, I had uh, well, I went through a couple different majors first, about 3 or 4. I was pre-med at one point and failed chemistry miserably. So I, took stock at what I was good at, and I was getting A's in all my English classes. So so I went that route. But I learned that, despite procrastination and other things that got in the way, that writing was something that was, I don't wanna say easy because it's not easy, but it flowed.
yeah.
There was an effortlessness to it that I appreciated, and then I got to really hone my skill,
Mm.
which was a lot of fun. So, I don't think, it's one of those things where I think writing chose me, more than I chose it, just because it really was it allows me to communicate in a way that I can't otherwise.
Yeah, because you've obviously worked in kind of the mental health arena, working on resilience and things like that, which I think really do play well into an author's life. But going from sort of pre-med, how did that come into your life? How did you start working on what is obviously a big passion for you now and the driving force for everything you do? How did that start?
Mm. For me, writing really, as I mentioned, as a kid, it became a tool for self learning, self actualization. And, as I went through, I'm an educator too. I taught for many years. And one of the things that, again, like this through line is how can I use writing to really amplify learning, whether it's, academic learning or it's, self-reflection learning or some combination
Mm,
thereof. And the the sort of bird's eye view and the way we're able to shift our perspective to change the narrative. I mean, especially, right, mental health is a an ongoing evolution of learning not only about oneself, but in relationship to other people too.
Yeah.
So understanding like how my brain works and how other people's brains work and what I can do to kind of rewrite the narrative so that what we're creating together is so much nicer. I think it's just really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important. And I think mental health is becoming a lot more in the forefront of everything these days. And it's much more sort of, what's the word, researched and out there as it was previously, maybe 10 years ago. So how do you think that has changed, and how do you think that is affecting what you've been doing?
Well, you know, I think one of the reasons it wasn't talked about previously or researched a lot is because of, you know, there's a lot of shame, I
Yeah.
think, that's really connected to, oh, if I'm having this problem or I'm thinking this way, or why can't I get myself together? And, you know, a lot of that stems from sort of cultural, societal expectations of who we're supposed to be. And if we're looking out at the world and we're only seeing other people's outsides and what is, you know, happening on the outside, we don't actually have a full picture of anybody. And there's this sense of wanting to show up in the world a certain way, which is fine. And we don't want to do that at the expense of being able to be fully who we are, express ourselves, to have a full range of human emotions even,
Yeah.
right? We're not supposed to be angry. We're not supposed to be sad, everything, you know, and that's just not natural. So, you know, I'm thrilled that we're having these conversations more and more, that there is more, you know, research happening in neuroscience. We're really understanding how the brain works, how the brain and body work together, and, you know, and different ways that we can make a better life for ourselves and each other because of that. So I think, you know, for me, writing the book Every Day I'm Brave, it's my story, it's my struggle with different, you know, fear-based diagnoses and things, but it's also, you know, it's also a catalyst for amplifying that message of, you know, this isn't shameful that we struggle. In fact, what's important is what we're able to learn and how we're able to create better lives for ourselves because of it. And so I just think, you know, I'm thrilled to see this shift. Not that I want more people to be struggling, but I think it's more that people have been struggling all along, and now we have a place to have the conversation about it.
Yeah. And both myself and my co-host have had conversations about our personal struggles on the show. And it's because of how things have evolved, especially with the stigma about men's mental health, that we've been able to do that, I feel like, more openly and get the feedback that we've had for it. So I think it's definitely put people in a better position. And I've recently come off a trauma-informed practitioner course as well. I'm a teacher as well. So I'm using that the best of my ability to teach young people who are between 15 and 18 to try and engage them in a way where they can try and discuss that, which is really difficult.
It is. Oh my gosh. But I just, like, you saying that just fills my heart with like so much joy. You know, I taught middle school, high school kids, and the teenagers today, and especially, you know, the young men. I mean, I'm so thankful that you and your partner here are having these conversations. It's so vital to be a part of this movement and momentum of having the conversations about mental health, especially for young men, because there isn't a lot of places where it's safe to have those conversations. And so bravo, thank you for doing this work.
I feel like, and it's similar with a lot of other things. So people who become experts in something after they've done it enough times, that's when they do become that expert, where they have the knowledge base because of their experiences, right? Mm-hmm. So is this kind of the reason that led you to write your book, your experiences and your learnings from that journey that created Everyday and Brave?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One of the things that kept propelling me forward in the process of writing was this idea that I was writing as a way to show up in service to other people. You know, anxiety, depression, they can lie to us a lot and tell us we're alone and that we're broken and that, you know, and it's simply not true. And for me to be able to, you know, write the book with in such a personal way, you know, I had to keep remembering that if only one, you know, if one person reads this and feels less alone or feels like they have more hope or that there's a pathway to move forward, then I've done my job.
Yeah.
Because it's a journey.
So we'll talk about the book in a little while, but what was the release process like for you in that case then, with so much personal sort of information on the line? How did you feel about that when it was released?
You know, nervous, certainly. You know, I spent a lot of time as I was writing, getting support to essentially cultivate my own bravery for even putting this out there.
Of course.
You know, how can I show up in integrity so that if, you know, because certainly there's going to be people who don't like it. There's going to be people who have judgments about me. There's going to, you know, and I had to surrender all of that. Doesn't mean it doesn't affect me, not necessarily, but like, I didn't want it to stop me from, you know, being able to put this out. And so I did. I got support from a couple of different people along the way, both writers and a woman who's a dear friend and a mentor for me who actually lives in Sweden. She really helped me kind of uncover some of those limiting beliefs that would get in the way about my own worth, right? And so I did some deep work along with it so that by the time the release came, you know, a few weeks ago, I was so ready to put it out there and to just surrender to whatever was going to happen. And I'm so grateful that, like, you know, past me knew to do that work and lined up that support. But I also think that there's something about the tangibility of the book now. Like, yes, it's my story, but it's been crafted and curated in a way that, you know, it's a part of me, but it's not the whole of me.
Yeah.
So
on the flip side, then, you had obviously good feedback as a result of releasing that book. So how did that feel to get feedback and receive positive sort of feedback as a result?
It feels pretty darn good. I still do. I mean, I just have tears of gratitude, and seeing the responses and from people I know and people I don't know.
Yeah.
I had one, the husband of somebody I know who I've never met in real life, the husband, out of the blue sent me a message and said, you know, my wife read this book. She couldn't stop raving about it. So I read it too. And he said, thank you, because I understand my wife so much better now and what she's going through with her anxiety and her OCD than I ever could have. And I mean, like, I was speechless. Like, like, okay, we're doing this. This is working. Like, yeah.
But that is incredible because, most people who write a book want people to enjoy it. When you have feedback like that, you've made a difference to somebody's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is one of the best things you can have, right?
Yeah. I'm honored. Like, I just am from this like humbled, grateful state. And it, on a very personal scale, it also makes me grateful for the struggles that I went through.
Yeah.
Because it gives it a purpose. Like and still go through. I mean, let's be real, right? It's not a cure. We're not one, my life is a lot better now, but it's because I have the tools and the strategies to keep going. But it gives it a purpose that,
it's that understanding that the word that's mentioned is resilience, and it's creating that, and from experiences where you've had to be resilient and to grow as a person. So I think that's a testimony to building your own character through that sort of diversity. Yeah. In that situation, then, if someone wants to write a book where they need to be brave and they want to talk about things that will be personal to them, what advice would you have for those people?
To just start. When you're writing a book, it's going to go through so many iterations before it gets in the hands of other people, that just get the stuff out first. Write everything you want to write, however it's coming out, because it's not going to look like that on the back end. And it'll be cathartic for you, right? So if you constantly are like, oh, what's somebody going to think, or how am I going to be judged, then nothing's going to come out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that is certainly the case in sort of every genre that you can write in. It's just getting the will to just go for it. Wow. What is your writing process like? Are you a pantser or plotter? In terms of a nonfiction book like this, how did you compose it?
For me, it was I wanted to try to follow a structure, but I'm not very good at that. There was, there's structure and there's flow, and there's structure and there's flow. And what I knew I didn't want was just kind of a rote, like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened.
Yeah.
Like, this really is a narrative. Like, this really is, the hero's journey, the shero's journey. And once I knew, this book had been tapping me on the shoulder for probably a decade. And I had written blog pieces here and there that I could use. But when I got serious about it and I was like, okay, now's the time, I'm going to start. I called up my first ever writing coach and I said, okay, walk me through this, because especially when it's your own life, like, you got to have somebody on the outside to be like, okay, this is what makes sense. I don't know what this has to do with it. So she really helped me curate the narrative arc at the beginning. And then I worked with it. And then, with my editors along the way, I wanted to make sure that each chapter also had that learning piece. And so at the end of every chapter, there's journal prompts. And so in order to have those journal prompts, we had to even, what's the narrative arc and the lesson of each chapter. So going through all that, it was both. It was, here's the structure. We're going to fill it in with the flow. We're going to look at it again. How are we going to restructure it so it makes sense? And so, 6-7 iterations of what the structure was. It was definitely a big part of the process.
Yeah. I think for someone who might be getting into writing, maybe for the first time, if they pick this show up, there is a lot more work to be done after you think you're finished. Just putting that out there, not to scare you, but that is something that's come up tonight and many times before. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
The work is not done.
No, it's true.
Yeah, so with a writing coach, what you talked about there is incredible. The fact that they worked with you to create that concept and to go over it with you, I think that's amazing, to work as a team. And often the case is that when we have authors that work with their publishers and their editors, they do work together. When they have a good system, they work well together.
Mm-hmm.
What were there any other bits of information or advice that the writing coaches gave you that you kind of took away for your own writing sort of journey?
That's a great question.
Putting you on the spot there.
I know. I was like, I just, for me, I really leaned into their expertise as people who had gone through this process with other writers. And I think for me, I have a little bit of a, stubborn streak, or I think I know the right way to do things. And so it was a practice in really leaning in on somebody else's expertise. It was funny when you said, it takes a lot longer. That was me as a first timer. I was like, okay, 8 months, let's go. I'll be done. Right. 3 years.
It's a little relentless. I mean, there are some people out there that rewrite so many times. You're talking 20, 30 times. Some people can fortunately do it 4, 5, 6 times, but the more you do it, the better. But then you don't want to be stuck in that position where you're stressed that you want to keep doing it because you don't think it's good enough. So having that extra set of eyes, like you said, can be kind of crucial.
Yeah. Well, and that it's done enough, right?
Yes.
I had to get, because you could stare at a sentence for, forever until you think it's going to be right. But so there at some point you just have to throw up your hands. Okay, this chapter's done. It's done enough. I'm good with it, and moving on.
Were there anything you took out of this book that you kind of feel you wanted to keep in?
I did park quite a few pieces, but I don't feel like they're missing.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think it was, I think I definitely saw how it was better without it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when, again, coming from that narrative arc versus what are all the pieces of my story. Like, those are two different things.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to play a little trailer. This is for the Amazon KDP Kindle Storyteller Award. So any indie authors listening or watching this back or watching it live, you've got till the 31st of this month, which is just 5 days away to enter. Yeah, sorry, checking my watch there. 5 days away. So please do consider this and enter. It's very easy to enter. You just need to upload your KDP, your manuscript to KDP with a simple keyword. I'm going to play the trailer. Pay attention if that's going to relate to you. And if you do that, then let us know. We'd be happy to support you in any way we can. So I'm going to play this, and when we come back, we'll talk about Everyday and Brave in a bit more detail. And if you have got questions, guys, please send them in, or wait till the end. That's where we do it as well. But here's the trailer. Hey writers, what if Hit and Publish could earn you a massive £20,000?
Oh, yeah, imagine. Well, you don't need to imagine, because that's exactly what's on offer with Amazon's Kindle Storyteller Award 2025. This amazing literary prize is back for its 9th year, and it's open to anyone who self-publishes a book like Kindle Direct Publishing in any genre.
Any genre. Yeah, whether you've written your first or your 10th novel, it doesn't matter. If it's unpublished and written in English, then you can enter that award with a chance of winning.
Yeah, and it's really easy to enter. So just publish your book through Kindle Direct Publishing between the 1st of May and the 31st of August, and make sure it's enrolled in KDP Select.
Yep, I think you'd be absolutely mad not to, as a £20,000 prize would help any author boost their career massively. And our previous guest and last year's winner, JD Kirk, said that it took his career to the next level. after winning that award and taking it home.
Yeah, and it did. These books are everywhere. So in order to enter, head to amazon.co.uk/storyteller to find out more. The Kindle Storyteller Award is open now. So publish, enter, and get your story out there.
Yeah, we'll support you all the way. You know we will do that. So we'll leave you with this. Good luck. The WCCS, together as one, we get it done. There you go. As I said, you've got 5 days left to enter that competition. It's a simple keyword, and none of the previous winners said they expected to win that. So there's no reason yours can't. If you're already uploading it, just put one keyword in, you're in the competition. 20 grand. It's a big prize. Yes, amazing.
Amazing.
So, Rennie, Every Day I'm Brave. Can you let everyone know what that's all about, please?
I can. Yeah. Every Day I'm Brave is the story of transforming your relationship to fear so that you can create a better life for yourself, more connection, more courage, more joy. The bits and pieces of my story as I go through different diagnoses: anxiety, OCD, agoraphobia, panic disorder, and yet here I am now, traveling, going out in the world, doing this work, having these amazing conversations with people like you. So it's possible.
Amazing. Yeah, it sounds like a really good message. Agoraphobia. Can you explain? I've never heard that before.
You've never heard that? Well, so actually, agoraphobia is broadly, I think, represented as people who don't ever leave their house.
Okay.
But that's not exactly what it is. So the basis of agoraphobia, which I learned, is really about doing basically everything you can to avoid the possibility of having a panic attack or dealing with the anxiety. So oftentimes that means you don't leave your house very much. And certainly my world got very, very small. The only time I did leave the house is if I had to take my kids somewhere to something, maybe a grocery store trip, if I wasn't Instacarting it. And a full radius of about 6 or 10 square miles around my house. I didn't go much further than that for a couple of years. So it was a journey.
Yeah. Hence you mentioned that the fact you're out and about and doing things like this now. So that's a great testament to the distance you've come with it. And like I said, it's great that you've managed to get to a point where you've shared all this for other people as well. Mentioned how it's working on the inner to create that spark on the outer. So without giving too much away or being quite brief with it, how can someone start to make that change?
Well, the premise, right, doing the inner work to see the outer change really comes from this idea that the world that we see on the outside is really cultivated and created by the work we do on ourselves, how we're showing up in the world. And people in our lives are a mirror for us. They're teaching us whether we like whether we want to learn the lesson or not sometimes, right? Some teachers come to us lovingly, some teachers come to us a little more challenging, but it's this sense of when I can find more peace within, when I can stay grounded and centered amidst challenges, the better off that we are collectively as well, because I'm going to show up better for, my kids, my family, my students, my clients. And they in turn, right, then it becomes this ripple effect of how I'm able to be in my own, to show up as I am and to feel comfortable allows other people to do the same. And it can make some of that, the dissonance kind of fall away. But certainly there's a lot to get to that point. There's different kinds of work to do. There's different ways we can show up better for ourselves. And the premise really here is that it takes courage to do so. It takes self-compassion, and doing a little bit of the work step by step, to be mindful and aware of even the fact that we want something different than what our experience is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of people that self-diagnose and, ruminate on it constantly without actually taking that step. If someone's in that position, what advice would you have for them?
I definitely reaching out to somebody outside yourself, whether it's first a friend or a trusted, family member or mentor or teacher or boss. And if you don't feel like you have anybody, something like this, this conversation, finding a book, some way that you can connect outside yourself. Because again, like, our brains can make up all sorts of stories that are changeable. Our thoughts, some of our thoughts are just thoughts. Our feelings are just feelings, and everything is changeable. And so I definitely encourage anybody who's in a point of, feeling like they don't have a way through, or they don't have somebody to, we've got crisis lines here, that first step, and that takes courage, because it is scary to reach out. I can't tell you how many times I would like start a text to a friend and be like, oh, I'm really struggling right now. And then I'd erase it because I don't want to be a burden, right? We don't want to be a burden to other people. But you know what? Our people want to help us. They do. And so we need to let them.
It's true, because I put myself down for a counseling waiting list once, and it was months long.
Yes.
And you know what it's like? You get into a situation where things build up, and you're in a space, a dark space, let's be honest. And by the time that came around, it was like, I don't need it anymore in my mind. So it's one of those things that I think taking more initial or immediate action sometimes is better. And perhaps your book could be a way to do that.
I sure hope so. I think so. And even like the writing, I mean, again, like getting it out, being able to express all those, even if it's those dark thoughts, right? Get them out, write them all out on paper, and then, find a nice little tin can or something. You can light them on fire and
I think people will be amazed how, things like Substack these days, you've got people following other writers. But even those dark thoughts that you have, if you are brave enough to share them, as we've talked about, you'd be amazed how many people resonate with that and will talk to you about it just by putting that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's something to really keep in mind. You could hate that idea, but within 6 months, you could be a voice for a lot of people in the same situation.
Right.
So, potentially that could be worth considering as well.
But
for people like that, of course, who would be writing as potentially people who write for creative process, but also that information. What about people who just don't write anything at all? Would that be the same for them? They just get a notepad or on their phones or whatever, they just get those thoughts out there?
Yeah, I think you don't have to be a writer to write the stuff down. Yeah, using the Notes app, I use the Notes app all the time, for sure. And if writing really is not your thing, speak it. Do an audio recording, right? Something that or just find a place where somebody will listen.
Absolutely. So who would you say your ideal target is for your novel? Who should go out and buy this?
Who should go out and buy this? Well, it's not a novel, but the target audience, certainly anybody who's struggled with anxiety, OCD, any mental health diagnosis, but also the people who love them, right? Anybody who wants a better understanding, but also everybody's got challenges. A lot of my readers are women and men who are adults. They've gone through life a little bit, I keep thinking maybe my next piece is for the everyday I'm brave for the teenager, because those kids are still deeply embedded in here. But if you're looking for, validation, affirmation that, that it's normal to have fear and challenges, and that there's a different path that you can take. It's possible.
Yeah, amazing. Excellent. Okay. And before I actually move on, what's the next step in terms of your writing? What is there something on the go now, or are you planning something?
I do have some thoughts about books in the future. It's going to be a minute before that comes through. And what I really want to do with this message is cultivate really more of a community around bravery and showing up in our lives in a way that can cultivate change. And so, I've got a little Facebook community that I've just started to hone in on. And I've got some ideas for some programming that I'd love to bring out into the world that, of course, will probably include some journaling components and things like that. And I got to, maybe there's a Substack. I have a blog on my website. But,
Well, I keep vouching for Substack because it builds your email list at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a really good tool for that. What's your Facebook group called for anyone who might want to pick that up?
Everyday I'm Brave Community.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Figured we go simple.
Yeah. All right, everybody. What we're going to do is go on to the final part of the show where we ask a bit more random questions. And it's a chance for you guys, if you have questions for our guests tonight, please do send them in. But I'll start us off. So I sent you some lovely questions ahead of time because they can be quite tricky.
Yes.
Okay. If you could take the ending from anything fictional, whether that be a TV show, a movie, or a book, what ending are you going to change and why?
So I have a couple things here. So one was, I don't know if Severance is a thing for you and your audience on Apple TV. Right. So the end of the second season, I'm not going to give away any spoilers. But I was furious. I was furious how that ended. It felt unfair. And I can't necessarily articulate why, because there's the sense of like who's struggling the most when they're all like in this horrible spot. And I'm really being careful about my words in case people haven't seen it. But like,
you can say the spoilers. I mean, if they want to not listen for a minute.
Yeah. No, I just felt like there was a disservice to the people who were the most sad.
Yeah. Severance for me, honestly, I love a TV show. I really do. And I tried twice to watch Severance and I couldn't get into it.
That's okay. I also tried twice first, and then I went in. But I was also like in the thick of winter here and didn't want to do anything else.
That's quite interesting that you also had to do that twice.
I did. Yeah, I wasn't so sure about it. I wasn't so sure. But and then I got
online reviews and TikTok accounts raving about the show. I was like, oh, I'm going to have to see this. And then, especially when something like that is overhyped, maybe, then I pick it up and I'm like, what are they talking about?
Yes. Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. If you could take a character from the world of fiction, and I'm not going to say put it into your novels because, again, you mentioned not novels and a different kind of book. Take a character from the world of fiction, again, TV, film, and book, and take that character on a day out. I'll change it a little bit. What character would you take?
Well, this one I had a heck of a time with because I'm like, who are my favorite characters? Who would I want to spend a day with? My teenagers were trying to help me think of things and people. And I am a big Grey's Anatomy fan. And so they were like, oh, why don't you go hang out with Meredith Grey? And I was like, I don't really want to do surgery all day. And then they're like, no, you could go on an adventure. But ultimately, I landed on a book that I have returned to again and again. I started reading it when I was, I think, in, 7th grade, 12 years old. And it's actually more like a parable. Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's it's a story about this seagull that is documented. It's like real life documented. This guy, watches the seagull and its journey on the beach, but then it becomes a character in the story, and the seagull itself is working on ascension, basically. Like, he really wants to fly, and the rest of the flock is just like, no, we just want to scrounge for our food here on the beach. And so he's doing something different. And obviously there was something about that seagull that I really, really bonded with, because I felt so different for a lot of my life. And my mom bought it for me too at the time. And, obviously I needed it. Anyway, I thought, okay, I want to hang out with this seagull. And yes, like, this seagull needs to be able to talk to me right. I'm not just gonna, if we're gonna go all in on this fictional character, and I would love to be able to fly with this bird and see what it sees, and get a real glimpse of the world from this higher view, feel the wind on my face. So I guess it's more about me getting to be on the adventure with the fictional character, more so than, all the fun stuff we could do here on land.
Well, I've had over 360 shows, and never once has someone said they wanted to take a seagull out for the day. But I appreciate the answer. I think it's a good one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, that was, I didn't know where you were going with that, but I get it. Yeah. Where would you fly to? If you could right now go somewhere flying, where would you
go? Somewhere that has a beautiful white sandy beach, clear water, a nice cool breeze, and no technology.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Good one. Okay. I want to, if you were going to write another book, this is kind of a question I do like to ask people.
Yeah.
A lot of people go on research trips for their novels, but in your case, just somewhere you'd like to go and read. Would that also be a nice sandy beach, or do you like, where's your kind of writing sort of hub? Do you like your office? You mentioned the porch. Would you go somewhere like a beach or a cafe? What would your choice be?
Oh, yeah, I definitely would be not in my office. This is not the most creative space. Out in nature, definitely walking, like a place, maybe a nice hike, because that actually, being out in nature and walking and moving gets the ideas flowing. Yes. And then I can come back and kind of write through them.
That's definitely a writing tip we've put out there a few times. People questioning writer's block or lack of motivation. Going for a walk is always an answer I come up with, because I agree with you 100%. You'd be surprised if you just sat there and you can't get the words out. Go for a walk and your brain starts giving you those words, and you want to walk back quicker. It just seems to happen. I don't know why, but it does.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, and that's the only reason I carry the phone with me too. I can either do a voice memo or a notes app while I've got, when the ideas come. Yeah.
Yeah. So if we fast forward many years from now and you're looking back at your life, and say you've written maybe a couple more books a lot in this genre, and you're helping people out, what would you hope would be success for you in that situation?
For me, I think success would certainly be the positive impact that I see happening with others as a result of my writing. If we're looking far into the future, this is definitely not my last book. I have ideas for novels. I have ideas for the next nonfiction piece. And each of those really is about storytelling being the means in which we understand our human experience. From the beginning of time, before people wrote their stories, they told their stories. And so for me, success would be able to spend my time connecting with story, connecting other people and their stories, and using that as a way for us to continually evolve into a more connected and compassionate place to be living.
Amazing. That's a great answer. I like that.
Thank you.
Brilliant. If you can, let's see, if you could recommend one or two books not yours, that someone could pick up, maybe ones that may have inspired you or something that you love.
Yeah. I just finished reading this one. It's Always Been Me by Megan Walrod. And it's a novel. I don't often read novels, and this one I ate up in like 2 days. It's a beautiful story, really about your relationship to yourself, and how that can get clouded as you go through life. It was really inspiring, so definitely that one. And then so many.
It's all right, continue throwing these awkward questions at you now.
Right. I know. I guess I'd go back to this Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and actually talking about it makes me think I need to reread it. And it's a little one. It's a little bitty book.
What is it called?
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I also have it up there, but by Richard Bach.
Okay.
And he wrote a bunch of stuff, and it was kind of my intro into understanding the metaphysical a little bit before I even understood that it was metaphysical.
Okay.
Because it's really grounded in real life.
Right, I found that book, so I'm quite interested in that now.
Yeah.
Just out of pure curiosity.
Right. Well, and it's a parable, right? So it's really, the whole thing is an extended metaphor for how to really evolve into your next best self. And the challenges that you have to go through in order to do that.
Absolutely. Well, before we do wrap this up, where can people find out more about you? Where can they stalk you on socials, and where can they pick up your book?
All the places. So everydayimbrave.com is the site for the book, which also is linked to my website. Everywhere on socials, I'm just me, Renee Zukin. ReneeZukin.com, Instagram, Renee Zukin. It's just, I like to make an easy path for folks to find this work.
Keep it simple.
Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. Renee, you've been absolutely wonderful to chat to. And I have got a copy of your book. I haven't got into it yet, but it's definitely my kind of read. The past few years, self-help books, those sort of books, been right up my street. So I will be getting stuck into this, and I will try and let you know my thoughts and put a review up there for you. But I just want to say thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for a great conversation, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Absolutely. This has been a pleasure, a lot of fun, and a lot of great questions. I'm excited and great to be here with your audience. Yeah.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you, everybody, for those tuning in. I can see there's quite a few of you, a few on Facebook. So perhaps they're from Renee's fan base, Renee's groups. If that's the case, hello to you. And I hope you've bought the book. I'm sure you have done. But thank you, everybody. As I mentioned, this is the first show of four this week, which is crazy. we're back on Thursday and then 2 on Friday. So please keep an eye out for those. And again, hit the like, leave a comment. Any follow-up questions, please do send them in on social media. I'm sure Renee would love to have a look at those, and I will happily share them as well. So thank you so much. Look after yourselves. And as we mentioned, there are helplines if you're affected by anything we spoke about. If you need support, a general chit chat, we're here for you. And please do lean on us for that as well. So thank you and stay safe, everybody. Bye.